Zhang Ling sat quietly in his dimly lit dressing room, staring at the reflection of his exhausted face in the mirror while the glowing screen of his phone illuminated the chaos unfolding on social media. The internet had become a battlefield of cruel opinions, relentless rumors, and heavy accusations targeting his most beloved character, Gong Ziyu, from their hit fantasy period drama. For weeks, critics had flooded every major platform with harsh critiques, claiming that Gong Ziyu was weak, immature, naive, and entirely unworthy of holding the heavy mantle of the head of the family. These bitter comments cut deep into Zhang Linghe's heart because he had poured his absolute soul, every ounce of late-night sweat, and genuine emotional vulnerability into breathing life into that complicated young hero. He remembered the bitter winter nights on the remote production set, shivering in heavy traditional robes while struggling through complex martial arts choreography that left his muscles bruised and aching. He had defended Gong Ziyu's every flaw in his own mind, understanding that true strength was not born from invincible perfection, but rather from the painful courage to stand tall even when terrified. Watching the malicious tide of internet hate speech swell day by day, he knew he could no longer stay silent and let anonymous keyboard warriors rewrite the narrative of a character he loved so dearly. Without notifying his cautious management team or preparing a carefully scripted public relations statement, he decided to turn on his live stream camera to speak directly to his loyal fans. Within mere seconds of the broadcast starting, millions of devoted supporters flooded the virtual room, their frantic comments scrolling past at a dizzying speed that was almost impossible to track. Zhang Ling adjusted his simple black hoodie, took a slow and steadying breath, and offered a gentle, reassuring smile to the millions of anxious people staring back at him through their screens. His eyes carried a profound weight and a fierce determination that immediately signaled to everyone watching that this broadcast would be entirely different from his usual casual chat sessions. He began by thanking everyone for their unwavering support throughout his entire acting career, acknowledging the long nights they spent voting, streaming, and defending his work against unfair criticism. Then, his expression shifted subtly, turning remarkably serious as he guided the conversation toward the intense controversy surrounding Gong Ziyu and the emotional journey of portraying him. He leaned closer to the camera lens, resting his elbows on the wooden desk, and firmly stated that it was time to finally clear the air and reveal the deeper truth about the character. Many people look at Gong Ziyu on the surface and see only a pampered young master who stumbled into a position he was never qualified to handle, Ling said softly, his voice trembling slightly. They judge his tears, they mock his initial hesitation, and they misunderstand his gentle heart as a sign of permanent weakness in a brutal and unforgiving world, he continued with genuine passion. But if you truly walk in his shoes, if you feel the unbearable weight of losing your entire family in a single night while standing completely alone, you would understand his pain, he added. Ling recalled a specific emotional turning point in the script where Gong Ziyu was forced to lock himself in a room and weep in absolute solitude so nobody could witness his broken spirit. When I filmed that scene, Ling explained, his voice thick with emotion, I wasn't just acting out a fictional script, I was channeling the universal agony of anyone who has ever felt utterly helpless. He pointed out that true bravery is not the absence of fear, but rather trembling with terror yet refusing to back down when the people you love depend on your survival for protection. Gong Ziyu never asked for power, he never wanted to carry a sword dipped in blood, yet destiny forced a crown onto his head when his hands were still shaking, Ling reminded his audience. He detailed how the character meticulously learned from every single failure, turning mockery into motivation and transforming deep-seated grief into an unbreakable shield to guard his remaining loved ones. As Ling spoke these impassioned words, the live stream chat began to slow down as millions of fans hung onto every single syllable, many of them realizing the profound depth he brought to the role. He shared behind-the-scenes anecdotes of the physical toll the production took on him, revealing how he often practiced sword forms until his palms bled just to make Gong Ziyu's growth look authentic. I wanted his stance to change as the episodes progressed, Ling noted, starting from a slouch of insecurity and gradually straightening into the posture of a true leader who can carry a nation. He addressed the harsh critics directly, not with anger or defensive hostility, but with the quiet confidence of an artist who knew his creation possessed layers that surface-level viewers missed. If hating Gong Ziyu makes some people feel superior, that is entirely fine, Ling said with a bittersweet shrug, but do not mistake his kindness for stupidity or his compassion for fragility. He then paused for a long moment, looking down at his hands before lifting his gaze back to the camera, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears that threatened to spill over at any second. The truth is, he whispered, his voice dropping to a tender register, Gong Ziyu taught me how to embrace my own vulnerabilities and how to keep going even when the world tells you that you are not enough. Hearing their idol speak with such raw honesty and emotional exposure caused a massive wave of overwhelming emotion to sweep across the millions of fans watching the broadcast from around the world. Comments expressing deep regret, fierce loyalty, and heartfelt apologies began flooding the screen, with countless viewers confessing that they had initially misunderstood the true brilliance of his performance. Many fans admitted through public messages that Linghe's heartfelt defense finally made them see the character in a completely new light, curing the bitterness left by weeks of online negativity. Seeing the outpouring of love and understanding from his audience finally broke down the emotional walls Linghe had built up over the past difficult weeks of relentless public scrutiny. A single tear slipped down his cheek, catching the studio light, and in that quiet, unfiltered moment, the distance between the mega celebrity and his supporters completely dissolved into thin air. He wiped away the tear with a self-conscious laugh, apologizing to his fans for getting overly emotional, but his genuine vulnerability only made the audience love and respect him even more deeply. "Thank you for staying by my side and for understanding Gong Ziyu the way I always hoped you would," Linghe said, his voice brimming with heartfelt gratitude that reached every corner of the globe. He reminded everyone that art is subjective, but sincerity can always be felt by those who are willing to open their hearts and look beyond the superficial layers of a complex story. As the live stream slowly drew toward its emotional conclusion, the dark cloud of internet controversy that had hovered over the drama for weeks was completely washed away by truth and empathy. Fans took screenshots of his gentle smile and shared them across every social media platform, turning his inspiring words into viral symbols of resilience, loyalty, and unconditional artistic appreciation. Critics who had previously mocked the character suddenly found themselves reconsidering their stances, as Linghe's articulate and passionate defense set a powerful new standard for how actors can protect their work. The atmosphere in the virtual room shifted from sorrow and defense to a celebratory festival of unity, where fans and actor alike felt like a tight-knit family that had weathered a fierce storm together. Linghe offered one final warm wave to the camera, reminding everyone to stay kind, pursue their dreams with courage, and always look for the hidden strength within their own quiet vulnerabilities. With a soft click, the live stream ended, plunging the room back into silence, but the powerful ripple effect of his words continued to echo loudly across the digital universe for a very long time. The truth had finally been brought into the light, proving that genuine passion and authentic dedication will always manage to pierce through the darkest layers of misunderstanding and cruel judgment. Gong Ziyu's honor was fully restored, not through angry retaliations or scripted PR campaigns, but through the pure, heartfelt tears and unwavering conviction of the man who brought him to life. And as the fans dried their own tears around the world, they knew they would never look at Zhang or his unforgettable characters the exact same way ever again in their lives.